We've placed color fields to basically define the different panels that we're going to build in our trifold brochure. Let's grab the graphics that we're going to be using, the photographic images that we're going to use to place inside of our InDesign document. Now, to grab that and not place it as part of our text, we want to make sure that we get the selection arrow first and that we click on absolutely nothing, so we can bring those graphics in from scratch as opposed to placing them inside a frame that we've already created. With absolutely nothing selected, I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut Command D, and I'm going to place the first of my photographic images. In this case, I'm going to go to the Two Folks Computer Graphics image. I'm going to click on that once. I'm going to say Open, and as I do so, it's going to give me a place gun with that picture loaded just like so. So I'm going to click the mouse button, and in this case what you'll actually see is that it's going to show that that background has been taken away. The reason for that is this picture was brought in with what's known as a clipping path, and that allowed me in Adobe Photoshop to delete the background that we have behind this image. So if I go here, for example, to my object and I go down to clipping path, what I'll see is the option that's selected is that it's reading the Photoshop path that's been loaded in, and it's actually taking that information out against the clipping path. Now I'm going to make this a little bit bigger just for the sake of working and designing our trifold brochure. I'm going to move it all the way over to the far edge of the bleed area here, and at this guide just above my second panel, I'm going to go Object, Arrange, and I'm going to send it to the back because I want to be absolutely sure that this bottom edge of the graphic is going to be hidden behind that dark blue field. I don't want it floating out over the top. So what I did was I went to Object, Arrange, and I sent it all the way to the back to ensure that that blue actually covers the bottom of this image. Now I'm going to hold down my Command and Shift keys, and I'm going to go to this upper left-hand anchor point, and I'm going to drag up and to the left to, in this case, we'll say 5¼ inches across to place our two people on the laptop computer, just like so. Now, I'm going to do one more thing. I want to crop this in a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this anchor point to the left, and I'm going to drag that over so I can bring it right to the very edge of that screen. I can't see the far edge of the laptop, but what I do have is a nice solid point that's defined for where the edge of my image is. I'll show why I did that a little bit later when we kind of jazz this up a little bit. Let's deselect it and let's go grab our second graphic. I'm going to go Command D, and in this case what I'm going to do for the center one is I'm going to double click on the one person headphones image right here. Now I'm going to place that right down here to the bottom. Now I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm going to place it right against the edge of the bleed area. I'm going to place it right at the top of that third panel. Now I'm going to go Object, Arrange, Send to Back. The keyboard shortcut for that would be Command Shift and the left data bracket. That's the one that's just to the right of the P character on your keyboard. It would be Control Shift and left data bracket if we were working over on the PC. I'm now going to go Command Shift, and I'm going to stretch this up a little bit. Bring this to, say, 2¼ inches across. Actually, let's make that a little bit bigger. Let's make it 2½ inches across. Release the mouse button first, and what I'll see is that scaled that up just like so. We've got one more image to grab. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Command D one more time, and I'm going to grab these three folks right over here. Click the mouse button. I'm going to place this right against the bottom margin guide. Now remember, we cheated that just a little bit when we changed the size of that third panel. So I'm going to put it on this blue guide just above the bottom of the field. I'm going to go right over here, go Command Shift, and I'm going to drag that up right to that spot where it matches up with the logo up above. So in this case, right to 5 3/4 inches. Release the mouse button. Actually, that's a little wimpy. Let's make that one bigger. We can cheat this a little more. Let's bring this up to, say, 5 1/4 inches, just like so. And what we'll do is we'll take this just like we did over here, and we'll slide this in a little bit so we can define a sharp edge of this frame. I'm going to build something else up against that in just a little bit. But that's how we can quickly and easily size these graphics. And if they're already set up this way, what we can do is we can define a predefined clipping path to knock out the background. There are other ways to do this. We can have it read against the frame of this as well, much like we do with text wrap, but in this case we could also use that for defining a knockout for the background of our images.